Hello, welcome back. We are going to jump straight back into Echo Aria, where we stopped last time. I have to say though, it took me like an hour to record these two. And if the extra story is that long, I don't even want to know what chapter 14 is going to be like. Anyway, land for no man. One must face his own weakness to embrace the future. You walk with Wanchi for what feels like ages. With drinking water exhausted and your legs equally so, you never knew hiking could be so difficult. Is it hiking though in a wasteland? Okay, maybe the image is not exactly accurate. The desert is not a place for talking. With sand assaulting your every orifice, opening your mouth is just an invitation for a mouthful of sand. Not only for humans, the yellow sand also causes great trouble for the mechanical joints of constructs. After we cross this section of land, let's repair our frames. Sand is clogging up our joints. Commandant, your complexion. Once she throws a tarp over you. Thank you. She just looks away and yawns, showing no sign of responding. Silence returns, and the party continues onward. The farther you walk, the rock formations continue to lessen along with the density of the tributary. However, the oppressive sense of urgency still remains. If it is from the red tide before, it is now from surviving in such hostile conditions. From behind, you hear the whale song again. You are no longer in the area inundated by the red tide, and the sound takes on a more ethereal tone. Your eyesight once again begins to fragment. Oh my. Let me tell you something about her while there's still time. We have been close friends since before we became constructs. She may be a starry-eyed idealist, but she's also the most pragmatic person I've ever met. When she acts mature, she's decisive to an extreme. When she acts naive, she's romantic to a fault. For example, Ella turns and glances out the window at the blue planet. What do you think of that blue planet? Earth? Yeah. Suddenly, your mind is full of official data. The equatorial radius is 6,378.137 kilometers. It rotates from west to east and revolves around the sun. It is the third innermost planet of the solar system. It goes without saying that the feeling of gravity upon entering the atmosphere is always a memorable part of each mission. Explain your thoughts to Ayla. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not what she expected. Is that all? The task force commandants often get deployed to the surface. I don't think most residents born in Babylonia will ever know what true gravity feels like. Some members of the archaeological team haven't even been to the surface. Anyway, what's it like to be on the surface? What's it like on the surface? You close your eyes. Isla's face begins to contort. Why am I thinking about speaking with Isla before departure at a time like this? What's it like on the surface? What's it like on the surface? Cover ahead. I don't know why. What's up? You remain quiet. Having left the sandstorm, the whale song accompanying you like a shadow gradually fades into the distance. You can't help but turn to look back. Amid the dense sand, you seem to spot the faint figure of a woman. Is that a shadow from the red tide? Your question remains unanswered as it vanishes in the blink of an eye. It might have been. I'm fine. Okay, let's keep moving. Why was I covering my head? I don't even know. After another long trek, suddenly Wangshi stops at the front. He squints and looks ahead. There's a kid at 2 o'clock, 200 meters. What's someone doing in a place like this? An enemy? This is best left for you to decide, Commandant. You're the Grey Raven Commandant. Only you have the authority to assess our course of action. You're just shifting the blame. Of course not. I'm just an observer. Besides, you trust your Commandant's judgment more than I do, don't you? Following that, he closes his eyes and stops talking as he quietly waits for the others to make a decision. Wang Shi is just a great person to be around, right? Look toward 2 o'clock. Only an expanse of bare hills and steep cliffs outstretches before your eyes. There's no sign of anyone. His eyelids lift up and scan ahead once more. Whoever was there is gone. Probably realized that I had taken notice. Clever. Or just an illusion. If that person is avoiding humans, then we aren't looking for corrupted. Commandant, there was a human. Is that a child? What's a child doing in such a hostile place like this? Foxley? Lee without a capital L? As a precaution, I suggest investigating the surrounding area. Something's not adding up here. It certainly isn't. Let's go have a closer look. Wang Shi refers to a small hill on a relatively high terrain. Only upon standing atop the hill does you suddenly get a bigger picture of the surrounding area. There sure is a bunch of typos in the story, isn't there? You clearly see the desolate desert, a cruel land of death. However, right at this moment your heart begins to tremble. What's it like on the surface? Yeah, what is it like? Vast, primitive, and silent, as if it had remained like this since man first walked upright, and will continue until the last man is finally laid to rest. The sun hangs high above the distant clouds. Although clouds cover the surface, the residual brilliance still blazes in proclamation of its existence. Obviously, there's only one light source. When seen from Babylonia, it is merely just an incandescent ball of light. Yet, how can it illuminate such a vast land? Commandant, I'm detecting more than one thermal reading. Wait, that's... A gust of wind carries the sound of fighting. Okay. Look toward the source of the sound. Your first instinct upon reaching the top of the hill is to peer into the distance. However, you miss the makeshift camp just below. A cold gust of wind blows through the makeshift tents and log houses with an eerie, scraping noise. The camp is empty, though not because it had been vacated by its occupants, rather because they have gathered outside the camp. Outside? Oh, okay. I was confused. Standing on the opposite side of them is no one else but that unyielding pine. It's Hans and Timo 1. And also, in front of the camp, 2 distinct groups of people are facing each other. To one side, a ragged and close-knit group resembling refugees who have long since lived here. To the other side, a fully armed squadron of elite soldiers sent from Babylonia. Yeah, that doesn't sound too good. The sudden appearance of the latter obviously frightened the former. Now at the breaking point, fear and vigilance have given way to unclad hostility. Yeah, that's what I expected. Who are you? Women protect their children like hands to their cheeks. The rest of the refugees band together, seemingly ready to take the armed squadron down with them should the soldiers take a step forward. The soldiers on the calibration team grip their weapons tightly. Chief Commander, this camp and its people are near the preset coordinates. They'll be caught in a blast, should we force them to evacuate. Hans turns his head slightly to the side. Do not fire unless fired upon. They don't pose a threat. His gaze shifts back to the refugees. Do not attempt to attack or resist. I don't want any senseless struggle. And I'm sure they will listen. The arrival of the Grey Ravens only adds fuel to the fire. A feeble boy pokes his head out from behind the woman who had just spoken and looks at the calibration team with frightened eyes. Standing before the team of heavily armored soldiers, the refugees refrain from acting rashly for the time being. Oh, it's the kid. Hans turns his head. We're Ravens, you're here. Chief Commander Hans. We lost contact with Team 06 for quite some time. I thought you hightailed it back to Babylonia. Regardless, we've deployed redundancy teams, my god. Your absence would have likely gone unnoticed. Wow, thanks. Thanks, Hans. The veteran commander did little to match his condescending tone. Our aircraft was hit with turbulence. We had no other choice but to make a crash landing. Hans dismisses it. Tension hangs in the air. Sorry, mind if I interrupt? Despite the inquiry, Wanshi continues to walk without waiting for Hans to respond. I'm the consort in charge of reporting on the surface to Babylonia, Wanshi of Strike Hall. You. The President informed me that you were the first to report on the proliferation of the Red Tide's tributaries. Bingo. Let's cut to the chase instead of getting wrapped up in who's right and who's wrong. Holding them at gunpoint will only make matters worse, won't it? Wanshi glances at the refugees. Lower your weapons, soldiers. Roger. Hans orders release the tension with the refugees. An old man comes out from behind a wall of people. Who the hell are you? We are from Babylonia. As if from the flick of a switch, the villagers' expression changed in an instant. Whispers filled the crowd. Babylonia? You mean the space station of legends? Space station of legends. I guess Grandpa wasn't making it up. However, the elderly seemed to look more conflicted. Seems we're in the presence of dignitaries. We're nothing of the sort. We're just troops on a mission. Babylonia will bombard this area with the Longinus arsenal soon. Please leave at once. Longinus arsenal? What's that? Before Liv can respond, the old man lowers his head and lets out a smile at odds with the severity of the confrontation. Put simply, it's a giant bright light that destroys everything it shines light upon. The child can't understand the implication of what the old man had just said. Instead, he only nods ignorantly. You know what we are talking about? The old man raises his head once more, revealing the same cheerless expression as before. Not only about the Longinus arsenal, but also about the zero-point reactor, the hyperdrive, the great evacuation, and all the history that is about to be forgotten by our children. He sighs deeply. I already understand why it is you're here. Do as you will. I just hope you don't make too much of a commotion. The children need their rest. With that, he returns to the refugees behind him and whispers among the group. After a while, the refugees disperse and return to their homes. A few moments later, only the calibration team is left inside of the camp. Weren't we outside of the camp? Have we moved since then? What was that? Off to the side, Lucia takes a few steps forward and catches up to the old man preparing to return to his residence. What did you say to them? You know what the weapon is capable of, so you must know that this isn't the time to sit here and wait destruction. If you don't leave, you'll all die. I told them exactly that. Take it easy, Lucia. Maybe we just weren't clear. Briefly put, this area will be overrun with punishing creatures soon, so Babylonia wants to eliminate them all in one fell sweep. One of the designated coordinates is near this camp. If you continue to stay here, you'll be caught in a shockwave. Even if Babylonia doesn't call down a strike, then those monsters will attack you. You don't need to explain any further. As I've said, I know that you are elite forces from Babylonia. As the pride and hope of mankind, after so many years, you return to Earth only to bring us news of destruction. Kinda true. We know that you came here to destroy that red tide of monsters approaching from the west. We know what it is. Many of our comrades have fallen victim to it. When you mentioned the Longinus arsenal, I already knew what repercussions we were going to face. That's what I told them. Your tactics have always been simple and crude. It was before and it still is. I'm not surprised. We will not obstruct your mission or interfere with the coordinates you set. Once you finish your mission, you are free to go. You'll die. You've already said that multiple times. If we die, so what? Look around you. This plane is home to only a few hundred people scattered throughout. We've been through the Great Evacuation. When faced with impending doom, some people boarded Eden, while others just barely missed the boat. The former lives of life. The former lives? The former lives a life of ease aboard Eden, while the other is left to eke out a life among the remnants of civilization. Just look at the old veteran behind you. He no longer concerns himself with the likes of us after receiving his golden ticket onto that doomsday ark. Ever since the Great Evacuation, we have been living among annihilation. We've grown accustomed to it. If that's all, let these old bones go home to get some rest. I'd at least like to keep my last ounce of dignity up until the end. After he finishes speaking, he turns and walks away out of sight. A deathly silence hangs spread among the team. This was an unexpected turn of events. I report this to Babylonia. Wait for my word. What about our mission to configure the nodes? Proceed as normal. Please wait, Chief Commander Hans. There are still people here. Obeying orders is the first requirement of a soldier. We're Raven Commandant, keep your console under control. Nope. This has nothing to do with Commandant. Now that you understand, why are you standing here? Proceed to your designated location to deploy the bit domain node on the double. We've lost it. No, we've broken it actually. About that. Our node was damaged in the crash. Wow, he's so nice. Your uselessness is truly amazing. In that case, take your supplies and find a place to stay put. Don't get in my way. What a nice guy. Why didn't you give them further warning during the mission briefing? The scouts relayed back more intel than just that. Because I already relayed it to Hans. That will suffice. Will it? I don't think so. He's an... I'm not going to say it. In some regards, you're even more ruthless than me. Huh. So you know what us ordinates think of us too, huh? Of course, I'm not deaf, and I'm certainly not a fool. If it was really just a calibrating mission, then the Grey Raven Commander would have been enough to serve as the Chief Commander. They've encountered the Red Tide before, and their experience in active combat far exceeds that of others. Yet you chose Hans. Since the last battle of City 075, the Grey Raven Commander's condition has become unstable. Asimov still isn't sure whether it has had any permanent impact on the Commandant, either mentally or physically. Moreover, the objective of this operation isn't combative. Whether it requires cooperation to achieve a strategic goal. Since the Grey Ravens are used to fighting in isolation, the Commandant may not be the most suitable choice as Chief Commander. That suitability of the Grey Ravens isn't the reason why you selected Hans. Hassan pauses a moment, then continues to speak. Some decisions and responsibilities cannot be left to the younger generation, even if there's only the slightest of risk. I trust Hans' judgment. He's our most prominent leader. He has enough experience to deal with any unforeseen issues that should arise. He's also... You're too kind and gentle to the younger generation. If you keep sheltering them, it will only backfire. Nicola, you and I have too much weight on our shoulders and too much blood on our hands. Friend and foe alike. We are remnants of the past. One day, history will use the guillotine to judge those disgraceful sins. At least spare the children from having to bear the responsibilities and sins of their forefathers. Our generation will be the one to sever the chains of hatred. In that case, why let them go down together? First and foremost, to observe whether the Commandant is still suitable for serving as Grey Raven's Commandant. Secondly, sparing them from our responsibility doesn't mean asking them to turn a blind eye forever. One must face his own weakness to embrace the future. My. I don't even know why I saved my serum if all I do is read. Abyss of Gravity. Born here, so chose to die here too. Chose? Not choose? Whatever. Time is fleeting like sand through an hourglass. The sun hangs on the western horizon, shedding light across the lower half of the sky and turning to night upon reaching this farm. The dry air and radiation and cooling have caused the surrounding temperature to drop rapidly. Scorching heat turns the frigid cold in an instant. The entire camp is quiet beyond imagination, except for the occasional clang of metal whenever the calibration team lays equipment. There's only the roar of the cold wind. How do people here endure such an extreme cycle of day and night? Huddled next to an abandoned cabin, you curl up under the tarp, not to shield yourself from the sand, but to keep warm. Who had lived in this cabin? Inside, some of the utensils still retained a faint luster. A thin layer of dust indicates that the owner had never returned. After Chief Commander Hans had put the Grey Ravens on standby, they now watched from the sidelines as constructs from Calibration Team 01 continued to configure coordinates. Upon receiving the serum supply, the service personnel has also finished repairing the protective devices used to combat the red tide. Theoretically, this is the safest you have been since crash landing. However, anxiety still lingers in your heart. Actually, it's gotten worse because a certain someone is being very, very, very kind. You cannot help but stand up and look to the east. Supposedly, the coastline is dozens of kilometers out, the area that Babylonia has to protect at all costs. However, regardless of how hard you strain your eyes as a human, you are unable to behold such a sight. Don't bother, the terrain here isn't high enough to see the coastline. You suddenly hear Wanshi's voice behind you. Everyone turns to look at him. All you see is him stretched with a look of exhaustion as he walks over. Not to mention, with such poor weather conditions and low visibility here, human eyesight can't possibly see that far. Wangshi. Got enough sleep? As if he would ever get enough sleep. Constructs don't have the concept of sleep. I'm just on taking a breather. Lee sneers. How can you just loaf around at a time like this? Well, my mission was to pick up the calibration team sent by Babylonia. My work here is done. Can the guy kick up his feet a while? Sheesh, Aaaaand ain't easy to come by. Before Lee can muster up a retort, Wanshi looks your way. Don't you think it's time to change the gauze on your commandant's forehead? Right as Wanshi begins to speak, Liv had already begun making preparation. Within no time, she had already begun replacing your bandages. Thanks for the reminder, Wangshi. No need to worry. No need to act tough, Commandant. It is not until Liv changes your gauze does she realize that a considerable amount of sand has adhered to your bloody scab. Cleaning the wound is not exactly going to be a leisurely stroll through the park. Your breath hisses in pain through clenched teeth. Nice. Lucia. Understood. Lucia quickly tears open a pack of field rations and stuffs it into your mouth to bite on. Squinting your eyes in the dim light, you catch a glimpse of a thin figure poking their head out of a tent behind Liv. Gesture to Liv. Okay, no, she didn't get it. No amount of stubbornness will stop me from cleaning your wound, Commandant. Before Liv can react, the thin figure was already running over. He scurries over next to Liv and gazes toward you with a doe-eyed look of curiosity. Huh? Was that the kid from earlier? The boy's gaze falls on you. What adoration in your mouth. God. Therefore, peace and hell to him. Like a kitten, he sticks out his hand and hesitates until he cannot resist any longer. He grabs the ration and wolves it down. Lucia quickly takes out a second piece and hands it to him. What are these rations anyway? Well, whatever, I guess he's hungry enough that he doesn't really care. However, the boy does not immediately eat it after taking it this time. Thank you, miss. A woman hurries in before Lucia can respond. She pulls the boy behind her, glances around at everyone cautiously, then looks down at the child by her thigh. Granny. Who said you could leave? I'm starving. Didn't you have a can for lunch? I'm just so hungry. We'll have food soon. Your dad will be back in no time. But people said he won't. The woman snaps at the boy and interrupts him. Shut your mouth. Don't dare say such a thing. Who said you could talk like that? He'll be back soon, and I mean it. Don't get mad at him, please. It was my idea to give it to him. We have plenty to go around if you want. We don't need your charity. Did you just hit Lucia? Saying that, she quickly takes the boy and leaves. Forgive her. She has her own troubles. Turning her head to the side, you see the old man who had previously returned to the residence. Yuri. Her words stop as she sees the can in his hands. Guess you won't be needing this. I just thought maybe... We're constructs. We don't need food in the conventional sense. But isn't that kiddo human? Are you Am I the kiddo now? The old man looks at you. Not. How time flies. I never expected to see a person from Eden with my own eyes. So, care for something to eat? The outside is worn down and rusty, but it's safe to eat as long as the can doesn't bulge or leak. This is the last batch of cans produced before the Great Evacuation. These things can be preserved longer than you'll think. Apparently. Even if it's only leftover soup from the past civilization. No, but thanks. Very well. I'm sure it's a bit preposterous for people who live in the clouds to eat gruel such as this. Actually, I'm really wondering if the commandant even knows stuff from the earth. It's too precious for us to eat it. It's not that. Aren't you on short supplies? You're showing us sympathy? That sure is surprising. I'm not Hans. I'm sorry. My god. It's nothing special. Some people used to go catch fish in the sea. But recently those red creatures, the Hedra creatures you mentioned, have thrown everyone into a panic. No one dares to venture too far out of the camp. I'm sorry. Why this sudden apology? This isn't your fault. It's no one's fault. The old man's attitude is kind and gentle, unlike his stern demeanor when you first met him. Truly. I scared you earlier, didn't I? I didn't mean to. Sometimes you just have to stand up for what you believe in. And what is that exactly? Certain death? The old man does not seem to take offense. Correct. We've decided to stay here and await death. The old man's... No. The man's old and hoarse voice seems to float away in the wind. I don't get it. Same here. You may find our answer puzzling. A group of people choosing to stay here and wait for their death. Perhaps even a cruel joke. But this is how we genuinely feel. It was our intent from the very beginning. Why? Do you know about the Acadia evacuation? Yes. When faced with impending doom, some people boarded Eden, while others just barely missed the boat. Isn't that how the story goes? Oh, they stayed behind willingly? Yes. In reality, that's not what happened. It wasn't entirely a matter of luck. Perhaps some people just simply didn't want to leave. Yes, some people were unfortunately unable to board Eden, while others remained because their loved ones didn't get a ticket onto Eden. Some people stayed because they didn't want to abandon their homeland. Regardless of the reason, we chose to stay and we accepted our fate. After making this choice, we planted our roots here and continued to fight. But this place isn't suitable for humanity. This is indeed the case. Even though the wasteland is far from nearby cities and so the corrupted poses little threat, the cruelty of nature provides no safe harbor. The old man nods in agreement. Look at the land around you. This dry and ugly land. We originally lived in this city. We decided on this place and built our home here, albeit after great difficulty. Why did you choose this place? Because nature is terrifying. Once civilization collapsed, nature reclaimed every corner of urban life. Without water, electricity, or natural gas, skyscrapers became nothing but steel cages. Everyone died without dignity, like animals. At first we had the capacity to cremate or bury the bodies, but soon, those left alive could bear it no more. The city was silent. Corpses continued to pile up. You can't imagine the despair, the sight and smell of people you once knew decaying in the city you once loved. Many people died from the punishing virus, and many died to infectious diseases. In order to survive and avoid the corrupted, we left the city and ended up here. Not too close, but not too far. Here in this wasteland we watch over humanity's former glory. Who would have thought that a group of mice such as ourselves would still live here to this very day? Save your solemn expression. At first we thought we wouldn't even last a year, but actually it wasn't as bad as we thought. Thankfully we had relics of civilization. You see, glass, metal, plastic, even solar panels can be recycled. Although the semiconductor film is almost worn out, we can still rely on it to produce some electricity. At least it's enough to keep a few lights on at night. These items may seem like worthless garbage to you, but they are treasures to us. Just like this land. My wife and I built our houses on this land with our own hands. It may be falling apart and always leaking, but it's my home. We may have lingered on our last breaths, but we kept each other going. The 10 years I spent with her were a short, happy time in my unfortunate life. When she passed away, I buried her on a distant hill overlooking the sea. Most of my generation that chose to stay during the Great Evacuation has turned to dust beneath the wheel of history. Now there are only a few dozens of us left. But the descendants of those who died have now grown up and started to raise their own children. When it came time to bury my old friends, I buried them on the same hill overlooking the sea. Standing here, we can look back on the glory of the past and see the tombstones of our old friends. If we were to leave, then we would truly have nothing. Everything we cherish, believe, remember, and love will become completely shattered. Besides, even if you hadn't shown up, we wouldn't have lasted much longer. We scavenged all of our serum from the nearby city. That's bound to run out sooner or later. Everyone knows this, so we are ready to die at any time. Your arrival only means that we will meet our fate sooner. People born here were never optimistic to begin with. Hopeless and destitute, desiring nothing so as to lose nothing. The only thing we have left is our love for this land. We knew our destination when we set foot on this path. We spent every day like this, like it was our last. We were born here, we will die here. But haven't your lives suffered by living like this? I'm not sure I even understand the question. No, you must know joy to know pain. We don't pursue the luxuries of Eden. We just want to be put to rest with our loved ones at our side when the time comes. If you still have compassion, please don't deprive us of our last request. Why do you want to tell us all this? Because I see weakness and timidity in your eyes. Hey! When all of this is over, you will probably blame your incompetence and live with a heavy sense of guilt. So I want to tell you, don't. Don't feel any guilt. We've chosen our own path. You have completed your mission. Alright, that's enough. I don't think this place is worthless. Oh? Hearing someone from Eden say that is my little bit of solace before I'm finally put to rest. After talking, the old man turns and leaves. A solemn cloud hangs above the team. I don't know what to do. How can I be so calm, yet say they are already prepared to die? I can't wrap my head around it. This is all meaningless. I chose to become a construct because, even if I am no longer human, I still exist. My new hope is to continue fighting for those in need. I know everything I do has meaning. People born here have never looked forward to the future. We knew our destination when we set foot on this path. We spent every day like it was our last. Because you haven't hoped for a future from the beginning? Lucia. Liv turns and gently hugs Lucia. I don't know how we can make this right either. Something more important than one's life. Once he had been standing off to the side with his eyes closed. Suddenly his eyes open like an alert falcon. A few seconds later, Hans appears before everyone. Poised as always, no one can glean any indication of his mood from that stern face of his. I think it's just constantly bad mood. I received the latest order from Babylonia. Under the premise of establishing the nodes within 24 hours and ensuring the success of the mission. According to the instructions of Articles 21 and 22 of the World Government Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act. If civilians are found while executing a mission, they must be evacuated to safety, regardless of force. We're Raven, mission clear? Of course. Of course. Oh my god, the play mission. Nice. Finally can use some serum again. It's almost capped again. My god. Really? Is that what you think? Nothing strange about that. But she's different. Even though she's never been to Earth herself, she's had all sorts of unrealistic fantasies about it. When she was still around, she used to always ask me if there are any humans left on Earth. Ayla closes her eyes. Our primary school teachers all said that it was the cradle of life and our birthplace. But due to the punishing virus, we were forced to temporarily leave its embrace. And protect her from Babylonia. So Ayla, do you think there are still people on Earth? I think so. Not everyone evacuated during Operation Arcadia. There's bound to still be people on the surface. Don't the textbooks say that there were billions of people on the surface at one point? Billions. There's no way Babylonia could support that many people. Obviously, it could probably only support a small fraction of the population. My thoughts exactly. But it's fine. One day we will reunite with our comrades on the surface. When that time comes, we will share in the marvelous things we have seen and rejoice in song. Nothing is more romantic, is it not? Ayla opens her eyes. We were so naive back then, always sharing our childish fantasies. She told me how romantic it would be to reunite with our comrades on the surface. We will share in the marvelous things we have seen and rejoice in song. But we never considered at the time. Why had those on the surface not come to Babylonia? What sort of life would they have had on the surface? What would people on the surface think of us? That's a really good question. Your vision returns. There are no wonders to be found here, only helpless dismay. Seeing you lost in thought again, Hans furrows his eyebrows. We're Raven Commandant, you can't even bother to follow orders now, I take it. No, it's not that, Commandant is... Once he scans you with his peripheral vision as if in contemplation. Hans speaks directly. Enough, I don't have time for your excuses. Begin evacuating the refugees. If they aren't willing to cooperate, resort to more coercive measures. Before the other three can respond. I don't agree with this. This kind of coercion ignores the will of others. It's wrong. Are you defying orders, Commandant? Watch your attitude and every statement you make. You don't want to get court-martialed when all of this is said and done. Lee stands in front of you. Understood. Please give us some more time. Not all of the nodes have been deployed yet, have they? That's right, but let me make myself clear. Once the nodes are fully deployed, Babylonia will obliterate the surrounding area. If you don't wish to be decimated along with it, I suggest you hurry up and complete your mission. Finished speaking, Hans turns and leaves. Well, looks like I'm not needed here anymore. Catch you later. I'm gonna recharge my batteries. Knocking opened the door to the residence. Sir, Babylonia is going to unleash a wide-scale attack on the surrounding area. Please gather your family and evacuate immediately. Where do we evacuate to? Live bites on lip? Yeah, that's a really good question. Because the answer is simple. Nowhere. Eden has no extra tickets, and there's no place on the surface that can be called a safe refuge. The conservation area has not yet been built, and there's simply no way to accommodate all the displaced people. At present, there's only just enough time to evacuate the refugees to an area that will not be affected by the blast. The refugee smiled sarcastically at Liv's silence. Enough with the hypocrisy. Is this really in your best interest? Or do you just not want to see us die before your very eyes? Look at you. Your conscience is just as repulsive as your actions. Removing us from our homeland will make you sleep better at night, but it won't make our lives any better. That's not what we intend on. The refugee slams the door in their faces. That's the fourth household. Why are they so stubborn? The old man seems to be their leader. If he is willing to leave, others will probably follow. Agreed. But he doesn't want to leave, so that's a problem. After several more doors slam in their faces, a familiar face opens the door. It's you, Mister. Ah, I know why you're here. Lucia nods. Then you should know my answer. I already told you. I still don't get it. Why? Is it because we aren't looking at this from your point of view? I'm sure you understand, kiddo. Our point of view isn't as different from yours as you think. In your eyes, what is Babylonia? It's a bastion for humanity's strongest... No, that's not what I asked. I mean, what was Babylonia before the punishing virus and the great evacuation? It was humanity's first FTL colonization ship. Then why hasn't it taken you all into deep space? Because we lost Earth and want to take it back. Why do you want to take it back? Our mission is to take back humanity's homeland. That is our mission. That is the meaning of our existence. But this homeland is no longer of any use to you. Cities destroyed, civilizations collapsed, Earth is now just a sea of ruins. Babylonia floats above Earth, just like we stand here in these ruins. Why not leave? Have you ever thought that taking back Earth might be meaningless? Now you are a construct, not a human being. You don't need to inherit the meaning of human existence. Lucia wavers slightly. No, you're wrong. This is what we were born to do. That may have been why you were created, but that doesn't mean it has to be why you continue to exist. Much like how people should live, but they shouldn't just live. There are far more important things than just to live. Do you understand now? Lucia closes her eyes. This is the path I chose, just like this is the path... My god. I need to take a break. Just like this is the path each of you have chosen. The old man smiles faintly. Exactly. This is the path we chose, and this is the meaning we give our lives. We have nothing left. Our only driving force left is our attachment to this land. It's the only thing that supports our menial existence. Our last wish is to forever rest within its embrace. You think we are unreasonable, choosing to die rather than to leave. I think you're being equally unreasonable. The irony of man. People can never reach a mutual understanding. Now that is a lie, but it's very difficult. This land is our blood, sweat and tears, our history, our memories. Everything we created, cherished, loved and lost. As I have said, if you still have an ounce of compassion, please don't deprive us of our last request. Please respect our last will. Lee steps forward and pats Lucia on the shoulder. We understand. Sorry to bother you. Goodbye. Just as you are about to leave, you hear a commotion nearby. Don't you think it's ridiculous to tell us what we are Don't you think it's ridiculous to tell us that we are also citizens of the world government? Don't you remember how you treated us when the evacuation started? You held us at gunpoint to prevent us from boarding Eden. You left us behind like junk. Now you dare to come back and rescue us? Are you kidding me? Get out. Get out of here. I don't need your fake compassion now. The person she's confronting is none other than Hans. His starched and pressed uniform has been stained. Oh, with what? Almost like someone had poured a bucket of dirty water on him. Chief Commander Hans. You. By the time you rush over, the two of them are about to clash. Suddenly, you hear the distant serenade of the whale song. Does that mean the tide is coming? The right. The serene and resonating sound floats gracefully in the wind like a bird through the clouds. It sounds close, yet distant. The sound is not grating, but Hans and the old man who just arrived wince at the same time. Okay. Not good. What is not good? Attention soldiers! Drop what you're doing and prepare for battle. Hey, over to the west. Despite going to recharge his batteries, Wanshi had been keeping watch this entire time. Suddenly he jumps down from the hill. His laziness was now replaced with I hate this word! with unprecedented seriousness. My god. Soon everyone realizes the gravity of the situation. Because a large number of punishing Hetero creatures burst out of the yellow sand and begin to pursue him. And once every hour, you can actually play the game. Interesting. What are they doing? All refugees have been evacuated inside a residence. All the Hetero creatures are in. They're scattered all around the camp. But they aren't paying attention to us yet. Yeah, what are they doing? Are they just trying to destroy the camp? We must eliminate them right away. Can't let them attack the citizens. What are they even doing? Oops. I am pressing wrong buttons. Just ignore. What am I attacking? Why am I attacking the same thing that the creatures are attacking? What are you focusing on? I don't understand. Ouch. Why are you focusing these boxes? I don't understand. All Hetero creatures in the camp are destroyed. Nice. Don't let your guard down. More coming. Okay. And I'm still attacking the boxes. Someone needs to explain this to me. These creatures just won't stop. Hey! Wait, that sound has stopped. What sound? The creatures have retreated. The sound was still there, but whatever. Don't come any closer. Right at that moment, a bullet pierces the head of the Hydro creatures. I can't read anymore, my god. It writhes on the ground but continues to breathe. That is, until a sharp blade cuts it in half. Lucia shakes off the blood from her blade. If that is what it is. Her imposing yet elegant manner is like that of a tiger lily. Now that's a random comparison, but I'll take it. Are you okay? I'm okay, behind you. A Hydro creature charges Lucia's blind spot from behind. Before it tackles Lucia, the creature is intercepted by a blast from Liv's levy gun. Don't get careless, Lucia. Was that the last one? Yeah, the song has stopped. There shouldn't be any more Hydro creatures. The sound is... What a drag. Hydro creatures have started appearing here too. If those things are already here, the red tide must be close by. That was weird. Anyway. Is it only a third? Oh my god, it's so much text. I really need to take a break. But yeah. That's certainly a gloomy story so far. I mean, when is this game ever not gloomy? But you get it. Anyway, thank you for watching.